What if I told you WrestleMania 43 will be held outside of the United States? What if I told you WrestleMania 43 is going to be held in Saudi? What if I told you that announcement could be made official by the end of this weekend, possibly by the end of tonight's SmackDown? What started as just word around the campfire quickly gained traction, and now it looks like indeed WrestleMania 43 is headed to Saudi. In fact, we got a lot more details on the entire situation. We're going to talk all about it in today's Amped Up, Thursday, the 11th of September of the year 2025. We're also going to talk the balls, the audacity of WWE's upper management in the midst of fan concern over no longer even being able to attend these shows anymore. The ticket prices are out of control. And the response from WWE's upper management, more specifically, President Nick Khan and COO of TKO, Mark Shapiro, not just overlooking the concerns of their own fan base, but flaunting their greed. What's BC talking about? You're not going to believe the quotes recently from Nick Khan. And even more recently, TKO COO Mark Shapiro, speaking on ticket pricing being out of control, not just overlooking that, but flaunting their greed. I got quotes. We're going to talk about it. And when we say this company's greed is at an all-time high, after you hear these statements, you will know that is an understatement. WWE is out of control. We'll talk about it. It's coming up in today's Amped Up, Thursday, the 11th of September, 2025. And I was even able to catch a little bit of Dynamite last night. I had a lot of business to attend to, but I was able to catch a lot of the show. So maybe not a full review, but I'm going to give you my thoughts on AEW Dynamite. This is a show that in yesterday's upload, I told you guys had to hit. This show had to deliver because last week they pulled a 472K rating, the lowest in show history. They have to come with energy. They have to come with amplification. They got to go all in, all out. They just got to bring it. Did they do that? This is Philly. This is the 2300 Arena. We'll talk about it. I'll give you my candid, amplified thoughts on all of it. It's all coming up in today's Amped Up on a night where the Green Bay Packers will play their second game of the season against the Washington Redskins. That's right, I said it. In fact, if you hear a little bit of background noise on the big screen, we got Seth Rollins on the NFL Network. That's right, Seth Rollins is doing a whole show with one of their panels on the NFL Network. And the dude knows his shit. He's a big Chicago Bears fan, which is in our division. So he's talking about how he can't stand the Green Bay Packers. He hopes they lose tonight. So Seth Rollins is bringing it currently on the NFL Network, trying to hype up WrestlePalooza, which, by the way, Mark Shapiro, when we go over his comments on ticket prices and the greed in WWE, he also talks about what they hope WrestlePalooza will be. And what he said about Hunter Hearst Helmsley, too, we got to talk about that. Because if there is a term BS, if there is a picture attached to BS, it would be Hunter Helmsley or Mark Shapiro. That's the opening monologue. No reason to keep teasing. Let's just get into the show. And let's start with the main story. This is WWE's WrestleMania, headed to Saudi, and it looks like that is actually happening, guys. That's not just word around the campfire. That's not the windmill of rumors. That is legit what looks to be transpiring. WrestleMania not just going out of the US, because if that's the case, a lot of people thought the UK would get it. Maybe London. John Cena has been trying to get WrestleMania over there for the longest of times. It's pretty evident that if that does happen in the future, John Cena unfortunately will not be a part of it. Maybe he'll be the host. But no, it's leaving the US. Next year will be once again in Vegas, which they pulled out of New Orleans because of money. They had an agreement with New Orleans for 42. They broke it and for greed. For greed. And you say, well, BC, it's business. If you can get the biggest profit, that's what you do in business. You have to also be honorable in business. You can be ruthless, but you have to be honorable. You have to fulfill commitments. You have to be trustworthy. You can't be a douche. So they had to promise New Orleans a bunch of stuff. They're like, we'll give you a future Royal Rumble. We'll give you money in the bank. In a future WrestleMania. They had to offer a lot because they knew they already had a pre-agreement. I do feel there were still I's to be dotted and T's to be crossed. I get it. But agreement was already in the works. They were already deep into it. And WWE pulled out because they felt they could maximize their profit back in Vegas, which is where they already were this past year. So that's not a good fan experience. They're just doing the same thing. Because there's fans that travel with WrestleMania. They love going to all the different cities, even if you duplicate it twice within 5 years, which has happened. But you go to the different city every year. So the fan experience is obviously diluted. But WWE gets to maximize their profits. Cool. At what expense? The fan expense? The product expense? So it's bad enough they're already going back to the same place they were this past year, Vegas next year. But then in 43 in 2027, WWE is leaving the US, not to go to the UK or anything like that. They're going to Saudi Arabia. And that's going to open up a whole can of worms anyway. Everybody has their feelings and thoughts on Saudi. That's a whole nother concept. We're not going to get into the political aspect of all of that. This is just WrestleMania going there. Maybe we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. Why are we even, what makes this more than just word around the campfire, BC? Well, one of the top officials for Saudi, more specifically their entertainment division, came right out within the last 24 hours and said WrestleMania 43 is coming to Saudi Arabia. How's that? Well, BC, how do you really know it's going there? Or why do we really believe that this is the case, BC? Well, because the top official, one of the top officials for Saudi, again, specifically their entertainment division, came right out and said, I believe this was not supposed to be said, because WWE probably wanted to do this grander, a big announcement, not ruffle everything up right now. Especially because they're still trying to sell tickets for Vegas and think about that. But no, they got a little overzealous. They got too excited and they just announced it. WrestleMania 43 headed to Saudi. So that news already broke over in Saudi. So then everybody, all the reputable sources started to try to reach out to WWE. They denied nothing. As of this recording, and many reputable sources have reached out, no denial from WWE. They would have instantly sent out a statement. We don't know we have a great relationship, fluff it up because they do with Saudi. Great events are coming. As of now, there is no word on WrestleMania, the actual WrestleMania event. We'll keep you posted. Definitely something that could have something. They stayed silent. Now, word coming out from some of these reputable sources is that that's because, and I don't know if this was the case originally or because Saudi broke this, but now it looks like word could come out, an official confirmed statement from WWE this weekend. Apparently, Saudi is behind this big fight. Who is it? Alvarez, Crawford, something like that. There's a big fight that Saudi is backing. But I believe it's in Vegas. It's not in Saudi. I've been so busy. But anyway, Saudi is in connection with this big fight. Obviously, TKO is behind all of this. So they feel like this is where the big announcement should be this weekend. Possibly during that fight, they're going to make that announcement. Because it broke this news, you could get that announcement tonight on SmackDown. So it doesn't get too carried away and everybody does. And WWE is the last to tell us about it when we already know. It's already been confirmed 20 different ways. And WWE is the last to the party. So they could make that announcement tonight. Don't be shocked. But it could be at this big fight. Again, I think it's Saturday night. I haven't been keeping up. But Saudi's involved with this. TKO obviously is involved with this. And that's where you're probably going to get this announcement. If it wasn't that way originally and they wanted to hold off and really push Vegas 42 before we start talking 43 in Saudi, if that wasn't originally what was planned, now that it's broken Saudi, this news, yeah, it looks like that's what's going to happen. Now, more details have come out as well. They're trying to already pre-plan this to be the biggest WrestleMania in history. They're throwing boatloads of cash at WWE to hold it over there. And WWE is so damn greedy and all about the last penny that they're taking it. And they want to bring back all of the legends. We're already hearing that this is already being pre-planned. Like Saudi is going to have some jurisdiction over this. But who are you going to get? Who? They haven't built new stars over the last 10 years. They haven't. A couple, 2, 3. But they're still active. Roman Reigns, Randy Orton. They'll still probably be wrestling at Mania in 27. I don't think Randy would be too far retired if not. Randy's not retiring in any time this year, obviously. Probably not in 2020. He's going to be wrestling. Who? Who's your big act in 22? Who's the big star? Rusev? Sheamus? Carmelo Hayes? Trick Williams? Going to be massive in the next year and a half, 2 years, whatever it is. Who? They haven't built any stars. So they want to bring back legends. Well, who? In 2027, Steve Austin will be 95 years old with half a good knee. I'll still hear the glass shatter and we'll crash beers and hopefully not ATVs, but we'll see. But Undertaker, let the guy enjoy retirement. He can barely walk as it is. It's almost like a Hulk Hogan situation. As much as I would love to hear the gong hit. And I'll take a half an hour to watch Undertaker come down the aisle because that's a spectacle. That's more exciting than watching most matches these days with flips, dives, and this is awesome chants. And then we get to rate it afterwards. That was 5 stars. I'll rather watch Undertaker come down the aisle for a half an hour. So I get it. But you can't rely on that. Again, that's not like it's later this year or even next year. Guys, we're talking 2027. These guys are not getting younger. They have not found the fountain of youth like AJ Lee and Nikki Bella. So who are you relying on? Steve Austin, Undertaker in 2027? Is Hunter Hearst Helmsley going to take the gimmick out of his chest and try to wrestle again? The Rock. Everybody's talking about The Rock turned into a pebble. Well, in 2027... when he's probably going to be in his, mid to late 50s bare minimum. What do you expect from The Rock? Is that when you're going to do Rock Roman? Finally? John Cena, you say. Well, John Cena, BC 2027, not too bad. Guys, this is his last year. And he said that's unequivocally because he doesn't want to go out as a BSer. No disrespect to Undertaker or Shawn Michaels, but he doesn't want to do it afterwards. Did Undertaker come back? Well, Shawn Michaels definitely came back for one more match. That was actually in Saudi because they offer a boatload of money to the point where most of these people can't refuse it. So they're like, all right. Shawn Michaels fucking went out there bald years after his retirement. He said afterwards, what was I doing? Well, you got paid a lot of money, bruh. He's got a family. He's got colleges to think about things. Okay, so he took a lot of money. But then he looked back and he's like, damn, what were we doing? Helmsley's out there older. Helmsley in the first few minutes, didn't he blow out a quad or something? Helmsley was injured in the first few minutes. Shawn Michaels is trying to hit a moonsault, taking everything he's got. Undertaker is trying to make it all work. Kane's losing his mask. That was his mask was coming off. It was just so bad. Shawn Michaels tried it. Shawn Michaels was still damn good, actually, though. He somehow tried to make it all work. But who are you bringing back? Shawn Michaels in 2027? After we saw what we saw a few years ago when Michaels came out of retirement. John Cena, you're bringing back Jonathan Cena when he said this was his last year. And then after 2026, in 2027, John Cena miraculously comes back for one match. It's probably going to happen. They're probably going to offer John Cena $5 million. And you go, BC, that's outrageous. Guys, they're offering top talent $1 million plus already. Do you guys know that top talent gets $1 million plus? From Roman Reigns, CM Punk probably got $1 million. He probably made that cutoff. Brock Lesnar, Goldberg, all of them. They get $1 million plus. It started at $1 million. I think recently they even get like bonuses and stuff. They're probably at $1.25 million. You think it's outrageous that they won't chuck $3 to $5 million to Cena for one night of action, one match? Do you believe Cena won't take it? Possibly. I think there's some interlining morals and values that may be a step above others, possibly. But most are going to take it. But my point is, guys, they've already exhausted all of the legends, and I love nostalgia. I love the legends. I just said I'll watch Undertaker come down the aisle for a half an hour over a match, probably. I would. But at what point is it's ridiculous? It's crossed the line to absurdity. We're not even talking this year or next. We're talking 2027. We're bringing back all the old played out acts. You're going to bring Goldberg back at 60 some odd? And this is the problem when you don't make new stars over the last 10 years, because they haven't. So who's the big names today? We talked about Raw and SmackDown. Who's the big names? Who? Jason Uso, Yeaterman, the tag team guy. The guy who yeets. He's mid-card at best. He's a tag team guy. But because the kids love to yeet, he's the main event. He went from calling himself main event to being it. And the ratings all went backwards. Nobody cared. Watching at home, we're not partying and yeeting, so what do we care about Jason Uso? Jey Uso's the new Hulk Hogan. Jey Uso is the new Steve Austin. Jey Uso is the new John Cena. That's what they're telling you. No? How about Samuel Zayn? He's the one who's ending SmackDowns and having the matches with Cena. He's the one who's probably going to win the title at 42, or maybe they hold off and they do it in Saudi for 43. But Sami Zayn will do the Jey Uso story we just did at WrestleMania 41. Jey Uso played Rocky Balboa, the underdog story. Remember Jey Uso leading up? Everybody thinks I'm not going to win. Everybody is doubting me. I'm starting to doubt myself, man. And then all of a sudden at WrestleMania 41, Jey Uso pulls out the Balboa moment over Apollo Creed. Over Gunther. We're going to do the same thing with Sami. The only problem with that, well, multiple. We just did it with Jey Uso. But we've done Rocky Balboa with Sami Zayn Sami's entire career. So we're going to do it yet again in 2027. Sam Zayn is our big star, our superstar, larger than life. Is Kevin Owens going to come back? Is Kevin Owens going to be the larger than life big spectacle? You guys know I'm right. There's no superstars today, man. Sheamus. How we all used to look at Hulk Hogan and Warrior and such, and then Undertaker, Rock, Austin, maybe Cena and Roman Reigns for a newer generation. But for this generation, who do you have? Jey Uso, Sam Zayn. And you're hoping that maybe Carmelo Hayes breaks through. Who else? Randy Orton. Randy Orton's been somehow, man, one of the best wrestlers I've ever seen was Randy Orton. And he has been irrelevant for what it seems like years. And in 2027, he's going to be in a headlining match. All right. Not seeing it. They have nobody. You better hope Roman is still doing his part-time schedule in 2027. They may keep him out all of 2026 just to be primed for that 2027 WrestleMania 43 match. Does Braun Breaker become a big star by 2027? You could say he's on his way right now. I mean, that's kind of the only thing. I don't see Bronson Reed putting all the asses in seats. Then again, it's Saudi. Who knows? I'll tell you what, this is the one thing that they better have resolved. Because I don't know much about Saudi. I know everyone has an opinion on them. I don't have too much because I don't know enough about it. But what I do know is they better allow the female wrestlers in their matches, because this is going to be a 2-night thing, most likely, with a handful of women matches. And some of the most beautiful women in the world will be competing in that ring in Saudi. They better allow them to wear their booty shorts or their wrestling gear. I know there's some rules and regulations and laws that the women have to be completely covered up, basically. No. I really hope that is resolved by 43. Nobody is trying to see at WrestleMania Liv Morgan covered up, or Io, Nikki Bella. AJ Lee shouldn't have to not show her legs, or Tiffany Stratton should be able to show some damn cleavage while she wrestles. Io and Liv Morgan with the booty should be rocking. Zelina could show off the abs. And AJ. Stop. That's the one request I have. Let the females be sexy. Let them rock what they got. That's what I hope doesn't happen. All that type of censorship, all that type of, making like the females block their own skin. Stop, man. That's one thing. Everything else I don't know enough about. That's for you guys to have your verbatim on and your thoughts and your opinions. I'm just asking, let the females be and look like females and not a bunch of Power Rangers and like bodysuits. Yeah, I mean, you have a tag, you have 4 of them, they look like Power Rangers. Just put them in color-coded. Green Ranger, it's morphin' time. Red Ranger, Pink Ranger. I mean, we joke, but it's not a joke. They're all in these top to bottom just onesies. They're in onesies. Remember that NXT tag? What was her name, man? Wendy Chu? Her gimmick is like she just comes out in a onesie, like she's about to take a nap. That was a real gimmick in NXT. I don't know what happened to her. I hope she's not injured. I hope she's good. Maybe she's not with WWE anymore. But that's basically what you're coming out in, onesies. Or if that is a thing in Saudi, then that's your thing. That's your country's, then cool, that's you. But if they're coming in to have this big event, there has to be some type of an agreement where you have to honor the US's regulations with events like this in terms of the wrestlers can wear, here's a crazy concept, their wrestling attire. It's their wrestling attire. That's my gripe. WrestleMania 43. Greed. The greed's out of control. Good for Saudi, man. I from what I'm hearing, the country is really making massive efforts to get better, be better, and be universally accepted as a powerhouse in entertainment for sure, but as a country in totality. Whether that happens remains to be seen. But it's greed on the side of WWE for sure. Because there's other places and even other countries that would have been in line first that have been really trying to get WrestleMania and offering a lot of money. Saudi comes over with boatloads more. And yes, this becomes a straight up business decision. I get it. I know how business operates, guys. I'm not shocked at necessarily just a business move being ruthless and getting the most amount of money. I'm actually shocked by how much greed is within WWE and TKO, the parent. How much greed? This won't end well for WWE TKO eventually. They will put themselves into a wall. And speaking of, I want to go into the next story because it goes hand in hand. WWE's greed out of control. You guys ready for this? So recently, and I'll give you the most recent with Mark Shapiro in a minute. But last week, I think this was at Universal Studios, Halloween Horror Nights. They have a Bray Wyatt house, the Wyatt Six house. And WWE President Nick Khan was there. And he was about to go in, and some fans were around, and they were having some dialogue with Nick Khan. And they said, the ticket prices are wild. Like, I can't afford to go to the events. Something like that. And Nick Khan responded saying, I don't think they're high enough. Maybe that was supposed to be a joke. Nobody laughed. I don't think they're high enough. I guess that's a joke because he's a suit and tie trying to make the most money. So a fan is trying to tell him, man, I can't afford it anymore. And Nick Khan is like, oh, I don't think they're high enough. I need even more money in my bank account from you. So then when he realized nobody's laughing and the fan's like, what? Nick Khan's like, oh, understandable. That's all he said. Didn't even have a moment to go, listen, I totally hear you. The market is like this right now. It's not just us. Ticketmaster also has I'm not saying you got to give a 10-minute response, but there's a way that you could have been more understanding because Nick Khan knows this is universal right now. Ticket prices are out of control. Guys, there are VIP packages which aren't very VIP. You get a damn lanyard. You get invited to some stupid pre-party. So you get some open bar for an hour, and you get a special entrance, and maybe you get to take home a chair. And for how much? $70,000. No. That's not BC being funny. I didn't just have a lot of coffee this morning. I thought, I'm going to tell some jokes. $70,000 to take home a damn chair and come through the side door. Tickets are out of control. And his response is, I don't think they're high enough, but understandable. Now I got to go through the house. I got to go through Universal Studios. But I understand that we're taking a lot of your money. Try to work another shift. Work some overtime. Save up and try to catch us when we come around the next time. What? That's not how you respond, but you shouldn't be shocked when the boss, the head of creative and talent, Hunter Hearst Helmsley Paul Levesque McMahon, tells the consumer that has complaints about the product, he tells them they're not real fans and to fuck off. You never hear a boss tell their consumer that. So you shouldn't be shocked when the president of WWE is saying, I don't think they're high enough, but understandable. What does that mean, understandable? Like, yeah, you're just a common folk that works 9 to 5, so I understand you can't afford it. Tough. He doesn't care because I told you guys what's happening behind the scenes. Disney has done this for years. They're pricing people out, especially families. They're pricing them out. So they only want a certain type of demographic in there that can afford it because they know that they have enough money once they get in there to buy 3 or 4 t-shirts, to buy $20 hot dogs and $15 sodas. Everybody gets paid. They're pricing people out. They don't want people that just nickel and dimed their way into the arena. They just scrapped up $80 to get into the arena. They're not going to buy any food or merch. In fact, they snuck in some own sandwich. They snuck in a sandwich and a Capri Sun packet. They priced people out. Disney priced people out. Families can no longer go on a Disney vacation, man. Even if they save up. Or they got to go a couple, 2-3 years to save up. How sad is that? And now WWE is following suit. And you say it's business. It's going to be ruthless, BC. I hear you. All is fair in love, war, and business. But this is out of control that the bosses are flaunting the greed so vividly. Like even when I've seen businesses be greedy and go the extra mile in greed, I've never seen them flaunt it like this. And I mentioned this in yesterday's upload. I truly believe they think that the majority of their audience is stupid. that they won't even ask questions. They'll keep bringing their wooden bowl and wooden spoon up to Hunter Hearst Helmsley and Nick Khan and Mark Shapiro and say, please, sir, can I have some more? So that when Nick Khan and Mark Shapiro and Paul Levesque McMahon say, you want a ticket? That'll be $15,000. Dad will whip out his American Express. You got it. I say it all the time. It's like the Lego movie. You guys ever see the Lego movie? I know it's like a cartoon. It's brilliant. It is hilarious. There's a part in the Lego movie where the little Lego main character, his name is Emmett, I believe, and he's just happy-go-lucky. Even when the world around him is trying to screw him over, he's just happy. And there's this segment where it's everything is awesome. And he's going around and the whole world again is just imploding or screwing with him. And he's just like, awesome. So he goes to buy a cup of coffee and they're like $35. And he's like, $35? Awesome. And he hands over his credit card and he takes the coffee and he just starts dancing away. Everything is awesome. He just got a $35 cup of coffee. Didn't ask questions. This is the real life Lego movie. You want a ticket to see a house show? $15,000. Awesome. Do you take Discover? So that was Nick Khan recently. Nick Khan, knowing that Paul Levesque McMahon over WrestleMania weekend several times told the audience that didn't like the product, felt that WrestleMania season should have been better. I'm talking their diehard fans were even complaining that the product has to get better and do better next Wrestle. And Helmsley said to fuck off. You're not even real fans if you don't take what we're giving you. And Nick Khan knew that and still told this fan, yeah, understandable that you can't afford it. I don't think they're high enough, the ticket prices. But it didn't stop there. Now let's go to the TKO COO, the Chief Operating Officer of TKO. The conglomerate overseeing WWE, Mark Shapiro. You guys ready for a quote? Listen vividly. You maybe you can't stand Vince McMahon, but maybe you'll start to think a little differently on Vince McMahon's business operations. As ruthless as he was, he never compromised the product itself, and he never ripped the fans off to greedy standpoints that we currently see. Listen to this paragraph, and it'll back up my statement. Mark Shapiro says the following, and I quote, Vince McMahon was primarily pricing tickets for families and wasn't totally focused on maxing the opportunity there. We see what we can do with the UFC, and we're replicating that in terms of ticket yield and advanced sales. He goes on to say more. I'll get to that in a minute, but listen to what he said, because this was in response to ticket pricing. Vince McMahon was primarily pricing tickets for families. He wasn't totally focused on maxing the opportunity. There's nothing to decode there, but I'll simplify it for you. He's saying Vince McMahon knew he could charge more. This wasn't Ticketmaster. This wasn't what is called the market, right? When we say, oh, tickets are so high, and Ticketmaster or industry professionals say, well, that's the market. It's market value. No, Vince McMahon controlled it, and Vince McMahon refused to go past a certain threshold because he was not going to price his audience out. The same way Vince McMahon was not going to pimp his ring and his product out. Vince hated to put an advertisement in the middle of the ring. He may have only done it once or twice in his entire run of WWE, WWF. Maybe. There was one time, WrestleMania 12, he put the WrestleMania 12 logo on the ring, and he could not stand that afterwards. He had hoped he did not make that decision. But it's one he made, and he regretted it. He hated putting things on the mat. Today, you have 1,000 advertisements distracting you or being an eyesore to the action you're seeing. It's all over the LED banners. There's banners waving up high. Every match is sponsored by this, that, and the other thing. The wrestlers soon will be coming out with patches. It'll be like NASCAR. They will come out with advertisements. It's already starting. The tables are Slim Jim sponsored. The chairs will be Sami Zayn's company, Home Depot. The Money in the Bank briefcase was like Cash Advance or something like that. It was like some financial institute. Was on the Money in the Bank briefcase. I mean, Brock Lesnar went into business for himself when he came back a few years ago, sporting Jimmy John's on his ass. It's only a matter of time. So even if you can't stand Vince McMahon, that's your prerogative. Much respect. That's your deal. But you can at least hopefully respect the fact that he didn't like to pimp out his product and he did not price out families. He didn't price out individuals. He didn't price out his fans. His audience. This dude flaunts the greed like nothing. Vince McMahon was primarily pricing tickets for families, so wasn't focused on maxing his opportunity. Vince knew he could charge more, and Vince knew he could probably get it. And he was ruthless in business, but he knew to be in business long term, the longevity of business, you have to also be honorable and trustworthy to the fan base. You cannot mistake the fan base's kindness for weakness. You cannot abuse the leverage you have with your fan base. Vince knew that. He wanted them to keep coming back, not be in a position where they can't afford to come back. You can maximize now, of course. What are they doing, guys? What have they done in the past couple years? Nothing. They are resting and going with the flow on the back of what Vince McMahon created. Vince, because of the way he conducted business, was able to turn WWF into a $9 billion plus conglomerate. Because that's what it got sold for. Over $9 billion. Vince McMahon made the name. Vince McMahon made this company what it is today. What have they done with it in the past couple years? They've done nothing. How many great storylines have there been in the past 2 to 3 years? There haven't been. The Bloodline was a Vince McMahon, Paul Heyman creation. You have nothing else. You have a couple of things, maybe. Drew McIntyre and CM Punk's whole thing was just brawls. They added so many twists into that, it became something worthy enough to talk about for a couple months. AJ Lee recently come back, put a little spark into SmackDown. I mean, we're trying to nitpick where there was something epic happening in 3 years under Hunter Hearst Helmsley and TKO. And everybody wants to believe that business is so amazing right now. Who? Fans shouldn't be saying that. They talk record revenue. The fans have been getting absolute trash for 3 years. The only difference is now we have so many advertisements. More commercials than ever before. We all thought it hopefully would be better when Vince McMahon was pushed aside. No, we're still getting, because the last few years with Vince McMahon creatively was absolutely garbage. But now we're still getting garbage, just with the business greed side of it at an all-time out of control high. It's being operated like a business, all right. They're trying to liquidate every penny and we're getting absolute junk. Sounds like business to me. Not good business. He came right out, Mark Shapiro, and said Vince McMahon, he said Vince McMahon was pricing to make it affordable. That's what he's telling you. He was pricing in the range of like families coming. He was giving you affordable price. He was making sure you could actually get into the arena. We want to maximize the profits, meaning we're going to charge thousands even if you want to be in the nosebleeds. If you want to be in row 85, you're still going to have to give us $2,500. That's before taxes. It's not just that this company has taken greed to levels that even BC and in New York, you see so many businesses, good business, bad business, businesses coming into their own, businesses going out of business. I've seen it all. I continue to see it all. But to see greed flaunted like this much greed and flaunted like this, there's no way they can sustain this. And this tells BC they're already thinking about selling in the near future. This tells BC they're liquidating right now. They're trying to recoup their debt. Then they're going to try to make a max profit. And then within 3 years, I would not be shocked if TKO is out of the game. Imagine Vince McMahon has it back. Vince McMahon started his own new company. We believe that TNA eventually will be purchased by Vince McMahon in his new company. But I always said, I would not be totally shocked if Vince McMahon in Saudi Arabia joined forces to buy the WWE. To buy TKO. Mark these words, I still believe there is a massive chance Vince McMahon in Saudi Arabia could join forces to buy TKO. But what I know right now is what TKO is doing to... Forget Hunter Helmsley and his poor creative and how bad Paul Levesque McMahon is at his job, because he's bad. People always say Tony Khan's the worst promoter in pro wrestling. Dude, how can you say how can you say Paul Levesque McMahon is much better? If at all, because I'm not seeing it. But forget Levesque McMahon. Business side of it, TKO is running this right into the ground or into a wall after wall after wall. TKO is tapping themselves out. Just look year over year. Remember last year they were talking about all this record revenue and sellout after sellout after sellout? This year, have you noticed that we're not talking sellout after sellout anymore? Even out of the US, they couldn't even sell out most of their para-states. Where's all the sellouts? Why is a lot of the revenue down in many metrics and areas? Yeah. After a while, credit cards, plastic, it maxes out. And when it maxes out, it creates interest and families go kind of under. So they can't afford that next show. So I guess with WrestleMania 43 going to Saudi, if you are in the UK and you're hoping for a Mania, or if you are in the States and you're not going to be able to go to Saudi and maybe you go to every Mania, at least this is a chance to save for an extra year, because you're going to have to if you want to afford a WrestleMania in the future. Or a SmackDown or a house show. You're going to have to save a long time. Because Paul Levesque McMahon, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Nick Khan, and Mark Shapiro are blatantly, brazenly, openly, freely flaunting their greed. They are telling you, this is ballsy. It's pathetic that they're not only doing this, but it's like nothing to them. They have zero interest. Forget care. They have zero interest in their fan base, in their consumer. You are all just dollar signs. Pennies to them. You're not even a dollar. You're a penny to TKO. That's wild. Shapiro wasn't done, by the way. Shapiro went on to say that they hope that WrestlePalooza is going to become another WrestleMania. He said that WrestlePalooza, and I quote, can be marketed, a marketing bonanza. That's the quote. TKO COO Mark Shapiro says WrestlePalooza can be a marketing palooza if done correctly. And he says that currently Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Paul Levesque McMahon is working night and day to make WrestlePalooza like a WrestleMania. Bro, that's BS. He's not in the office at all. Paul Levesque McMahon is doing podcasts. He's doing commercials. He's doing voiceovers. He was just on Pat McAfee's show. BC, that's the thing. He's trying to promote WrestlePalooza. No, he just wants to hang out with McAfee. That's what he just wants to hang with the celebs. It wasn't long ago in the NBA scene. He was hanging out with Nick Khan at the Pacers game. BC, he's allowed a night off, man. He's okay. He's on vacation. BC, he can go on vacation. But he's doing all of WWE's commercials, or most of them. BC, he can do some of the commercials. No, the talent should be. This is what I'm saying. If the fans are telling you you're not doing a good job, diehard WWE fans over WrestleMania season were stepping up and saying, yeah, like this, I usually go along with everything that WWE does. But this, even diehard fans, maybe they even think that BC's just too negative a lot of the times, but they were going, BC's actually right here. This is not good, and we have to be better. And they were trying to tell Helmsley, and Helmsley told him to fuck off. He said, you're not even real fans if you don't like what we're doing. What? They're just trying to tell you. When Coca-Cola flipped up their recipe and diehard Coca-Cola drinkers were going, hold on, this isn't good. Can you go back? They had to go back. If McDonald's takes away the McRibs and says it's permanent, but the fans were going, no, the fans, can they have fans? McDonald's, the consumer, was going, no, we like the McRib. They had to bring it back a couple of times a year now. You have to listen. You can't just have, we want the McRib back. Yeah, go off. Get out of here. You're not even a real McDonald's supporter. You want the McRib. Get out of here. Hey, can you bring back the old recipe? We love Coca-Cola, but the sugar's off. I don't know what you guys did. Yeah, go off. You ain't getting the other sugar back. You understand? In fact, you were never even a supporter of Coca-Cola. Get out of here. You wouldn't hear that. So fans are trying to tell you, you got to be better. Fans are trying to tell you that the creative sucks. We don't have larger-than-life wrestlers right now. All of this stuff. And you're busy at Pacer games and hanging out with celebrities, shooting the shit with Jelly Roll and Pat. Go on vacations. Glad you can afford the vacation after you took everybody else's vacation money that they tried to spend on a WWE weekend. He's doing all the commercials. Why? Have your wrestlers do that. Wrestlers should be, back in the day, Vince hated interviews. He did a handful because he had to. He hated them. So on Regis and Kelly, which was the old talk show, Arsenio Hall, I know a lot of these names you probably never heard of, David Letterman, Jay Leno, he would bring out his wrestlers. Warrior, Hogan, Savage, Taker. That's right, Undertaker, even in full gimmick. One time with Paul Bear on Regis and Kathy Lee. Helmsley's just doing it. So at what point is he working night and day to make WrestlePalooza special? What are you talking about? You saw on the show Unreal. He walked in when everybody else all had the marker boards up. And he would just come in and change things. And that was it. And he was called head of creative. So it's just the balls of Shapiro to flaunt the greed. To give BS statements like Hunter Helmsley is working night and day for us. Yeah, that's what we're really seeing. I just saw the guy on Pat McAfee yesterday. Helmsley is the face of WWE. Why? Why is the guy who's in Gorilla on a headset, he's not a wrestler anymore. He's not even an on-air character. Why is he, although he's getting paid an extra salary, if you look at the rosters, he's an on-air talent. Yeah. A loophole to get more money. Stephanie McMahon is too. While she's doing her podcast, she's getting a WWE talent contract. Loopholes. But here he is. Here's Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Here's Paul Levesque McMahon. And he's on a headset, and he's supposed to be running the show, and he's supposed to be creating wrestlers that are larger than life. He's supposed to be creating superstars. But who's the face of the company? It's not Cody Rhodes. It's not even the Yeet Master or Sami Zayn, thankfully. No, it's not LA Knight. Probably should be one of them. Booked nowhere near that. No, it's Hunter Hearst Helmsley. That's the face of the company. And every now and again, like I said, Rollins is on the NFL. Every now and again, you'll see a wrestler pop up. Cody Rhodes does probably more than anybody. But for the big stuff, And all the voiceovers, all of that type of stuff, which takes a long time. Even if you're not on camera, just a voiceover, that takes hours. You have to do it so many different ways, different levels, audio-ish, all of that. It takes hours. That's what he spends the majority of his day doing. I wish he was spending night and day, Mark Shapiro, creatively and thinking about how he could create a better product for us, for them. But he's not. And from top to bottom, this whole experiment with TKO and Helmsley at the top, this has been a fail. This whole WWE experiment with TKO and Hunter Hearst Helmsley has been an epic fail. And every now and again, we go, that's good. Oh, this is good. Hey, this could be a good storyline. Hey, this event feels exciting. Every once in a while, we can try to garner that. But for the majority of the time, WrestleMania season, not just WrestleMania, the season, SummerSlam, not just the event, the season of SummerSlam, all of it has been failure after failure. And you're going to flaunt your greed? Vince McMahon primarily focused on making affordable tickets. We want to maximize and get every penny out of our consumer. That may sound like good business right now. It may seem like it's ruthless, but you see, I like it. Eventually, that's going to run out, man. I haven't been wrong. I've been saying this for years. They're coasting now on the back of what Vince created. They have created nothing on their own thus far. Nothing. Vince McMahon created everything, and that's what they're running with. And all they did is take what Vince McMahon did, and they put a bunch of fucking advertisements on it and put more commercials during it. That's all they've done. They liquidated the greed. They haven't created their own realm yet. What can we talk about positively from the TKO era? Nothing. They've made it worse. Damn, we were amplified. Full disclosure, I downed the rest of that coffee before we started airing. I should have saved a little. I downed it. And then I just started recording. So we probably should have waited a little bit. Or maybe just kept a few sips and drank it. I don't know. But we're fully amplified. Literally need more coffee now. But you guys just got an amplified. What was that? 45 minutes? Oh, I don't even know what that was. That was wild. But it's upsetting, man. It's upsetting that they're flaunting the greed like this. And it's not getting better. And visually, they just keep adding ads on top of ads. So you have Morgan & Morgan Law Firm and Maybelline on top of it and Tide Detergent. And then Snickers jumps on board and Slim Jim. So now you don't even know what you're hungry for. Right? Do I want a Snickers or do I want a Slim Jim? We know we can wash it down with Hogan's Real American Beer or Prime Energy. But then again, Pepsi's coming on in, so do I want a Pepsi instead? I mean, it's advertisement on top of advertisement. What used to be 2.5 commercial breaks and then went to 3 is now 3.5 to 4 minute commercial breaks. What used to be 12 commercial breaks during a show is now 16. It's out of control. Packers Redskins tonight. Did I say that, by the way? Yes, I did earlier. Yeah, go Pack, go, man. Big game coming up. Maybe I'm extra amplified for that, too. Let's go into, I kept you guys here long enough on this amped up, huh? This has been, it's called amped up for a reason. I caught a little bit of Dynamite last night. If you guys are interested in my thoughts, I say we spend a couple, 2-3 minutes, bare minimum, talking about it. Maybe a little bit more than 2 to 3 minutes. But I did catch a little bit, not in entirety. I had a lot of business that I was doing on the side, but I was able to catch most of it, or at least what I thought was interesting in the moment. Dynamite 9/10/25. This was a big show, not a Paul White. This was a big show because last week they pulled 472,000 viewers in the ratings and the numbers. If you want to add max 30 to 40,000, I'll give you maybe. Maybe they just went over 500K. That's still really bad, obviously. So this was a show to really get excitement, enthusiasm, amplification back in your audience, in the AEW tried and true fans. Did they do that? What I saw, this is just from what I saw. I didn't see it in totality. But I was able to see the end. I think Adam Page had a matchup. I forgot with who, but Hangman afterwards had a face-to-face. This is where I picked it up. Adam Page face-to-face with Kyle Fletcher. And Fletcher is standing. I thought it was Miles Bourne at first from NXT, but I think Fletcher is a little bit bigger, taller, a little bit more of a presence, where Miles Bourne is like a miniature Randy Orton. Right down to the way he tapes his wrist. Miles Bourne is a bootleg Randy Orton. I wish him the best in his career because I want to be intrigued by the dude, captivated. But, I mean, he's a bootleg Randy Orton right now. They have to do a complete transformation on Miles Bourne. But looking at Kyle Fletcher, I'm like, Miles Bourne is an AEW? It's Kyle Fletcher. And all I took from this, because the big story is that Hangman Adam Page agreed to a title match. I think Fletcher has the TNT title, correct? But I don't think that title's up for grabs at All Out. It's going to be for Hangman's world title. I believe that's the scenario that they kind of set up. So that's going to be the big world title match at All Out. Guys, unless you're a real tryhard, which again is down to 472K, ain't too many people in the wrestling world getting excited for Hangman Page versus Kyle Fletcher. Ain't happening. And all I pulled from this segment was for Kyle Fletcher, get some damn socks, dude. Hangman Adam Page actually said that at the end of the promo. I don't think that was supposed to be in that script. But he added that in because the crowd started chanting, get some socks. Dude's out there with loafers and basically like high-top bell-bottoms. Not bell-bottom. What do you call them? The pants don't even go past the ankle. I don't know who dresses this dude, but it's a size too small. He's got loafers on with no socks. I can't stand that. Wear socks. Dude, do you know how dirty that is? Now, I got some OCD, so maybe it's a heightened level when I see that. Like, no. Like, sound the alarm. That is disgusting. But, like, even if you don't have OCD, you got to know how disgusting that is. These aren't even flip-flops. These are actual shoes that you keep slipping your foot into without socks. Do you know how dirty that is? So if you keep your loafers for even 6 months, you dip your foot into a shoe that was in 6 months ago, your foot was in. So the bacteria and everything that was on your foot 6 months ago, you're getting that back when you put it on 6 months later. Yeah, gross, right? That's loafers. I can't even stand flip-flops. If you're not at the beach, why are you walking around the neighborhood in flip-flops? Have you ever looked at the bottom of your foot after flip-flops? It's disgusting. Put on some damn socks. Oh, socks. Just be clean. Be clean. People walking around. I've seen people walk around barefoot around neighborhood. Like, what do you do? Do you know how many dogs are peeing and shitting on the fucking sidewalks? Bubble gum and food that's been dropping, spit that dries up. Yeah, let me just walk on that. It's a communal path. BC is amplified today, bro. We amplified! Alex Windsor and Rio then defeated Mercedes Moné and Emi Sakura. Yeah, that's really gonna ba-boom your 472. I am a huge Mercedes Moné supporter. You guys know that. If you're new to the channel, I'm talking huge supporter of Sasha Banks and then turned to Mercedes Moné. But what is this? Alex Windsor every week. I wish her the best, but you ever hear too much too soon? Alex Windsor, Tony Khan does this all the time. He did it with Dan Garcia. He did it with a speedball Bailey. And he's doing it now with Alex Windsor. These are indie-rific talent. That's it. That's the truth. They're indie-rific right now. I mean, I can't tell you how many times when I was really trying to get into AEW, and I was just hoping that they would give me reasons to have to tune in the next week. And I would constantly see Dan Garcia matches. And I would come on the air and tell you guys, why am I seeing Dan Garcia? It seems every time I flip on TNT or TBS. Is that supposed to excite me? And then, for the past several months, it feels like every time I turn on an AEW show, I got Speedball Mike Bailey And he's doing all the cool. He's flipping, he's diving, he's going, whoa. He's making you go, whoa. Speedball, Michael Bailey. And now every time I turn on a women's match, it seems like Alex Windsor has been involved in every women's match for the last 2 months. At least that's how it seems. This is why people are leaving. Nobody wants to be honest about it because we want to say the cute things, right? We want to say the nice things. Everybody wishes Alex Windsor the best, and maybe she'll be a star. We'll all care. And if you say, well, BC, this is how Tony's trying to do that. He's putting her out there on the stage every week. No, but how do we care about this tag match? It was clunky. That's not how you utilize Mercedes, by the way. And you're pulling a 472K. Now, there's no doubt that they're going to get back in the fives. You got to believe they're not going to get in the 400s 2 weeks in a row, especially because there's anticipation with this week, because everybody knows they had to bring it last night. So they're going to get at least into the fives. The question is, will they get into the 600s? So they'll improve, but it ain't going to be for matches like this, sadly. You're pulling in record low numbers, and this is what you're giving. FTR was out there. They were just looking for a fight. That was the segment, guys. It was hilarious. Dax just starts messing with people in the crowd. I don't know if some of them were plants. Some of them are definitely just real fans. And then Dax and Wheeler just start attacking production. The cameraman got taken. They just were looking for a fight, and that was the segment. I dig it. It's filler, but it's fun filler. FTR has a lot of heat on them these days, so they're going to heighten that. The old saying, I'll give you something to cry about. If you don't like FTR, they're going to give you a reason to cry. They start belittling and berating fans, degrading fans, and then just beat up their own production. Rico took on Shelton. Ricochet, Shelton Benjamin. There was like a gentleman's agreement. You keep the rest of Syndicate backstage. I'll keep my boys backstage. But Agony ends up coming out anyway. So I don't know what that was really about. Okay. Tony Storm defeated Sky Blue in a Philly street fight. Always good to see one of my favorites in the industry, Sky Blue, and all her assets. Speaking of assets, again, she was in there, Sky Blue in there with Tony Storm. This was a Philly street fight. Philly street fight. Does any of these promoters know what a street fight is these days? It's promoted as a street fight. There was not one street involved. And there's many streets in Philadelphia. Not one street was involved. We had record albums. That's right. You remember what record albums look like? Most people probably these days don't even remember what a record album looks like. You probably don't even remember what a CD looks like. Record albums were used. Street signs. We had street signs, just not a street. And tennis rackets were in the ring, among other weird things. No street. Now, I understand you look at Tony Khan and you're probably thinking, this dude's never probably been in a street fight. That's a pretty safe assumption to make. But you can learn. I mean, if you're going to promote it, you're right there in Philly at the 2300 Arena. It takes a small city permit to close down one side street for 1 hour. Trust me, WWE did it all the time. Productions do it all. TV shows, movies. You just get a permit. And you shut down a side street, not even a main road. And it's just for 1 hour. And you could pre-film this if you want. And then you could have them somehow get into the 2300 Arena so it finishes off in the ring in front of the live crowd. Like they did at WrestleMania 12 with the Backlot Brawl with Roddy Piper and Goldust. A lot of it was pre-recorded. And then they brought it into the live crowd, so they got a lot of fun with it. But you get creative, but you actually use a street because it's called a street fight. Otherwise, it's called a no DQ match. That's what it should be called. No DQ or no holds barred, which I think is the same damn thing. We're just playing word salad. I am tired. WWE does this all the time. They promote it as a street fight. It's not a street fight. I've been in many growing up. I don't recall ever using tennis rackets or ripping off a street sign to use or using record albums or go over to WWE, kendo sticks. How many a lot of you guys have probably been in street fights like BC. How many kendo sticks have you used? How many times did you say, stop, hold on, wait, time out. I'm going to go get a Slim Jim table. How many times are you setting up ladders during your street fight? We laugh about it, but then stop calling it a street fight just because you're in Philly. Call it a no-holds-barred match or a no DQ. Because that's all it is. There's nothing different than what you saw last night as to a no DQ or a no-holds-barred match. It's the exact same thing. We have devalued and made irrelevant the street fight. So yeah, pretty upsetting. Because I honestly had a little bit of hope. I'm like, listen, WWE calls it a street fight and they never deliver. There's never any street. They're right there at the 2300 arena. Every side door leads you to a different. Let's go. They could actually do something here, man. These females could be brawling in the road for 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Nope. And then there was a main event, a 10-man tag. It was for $500,000. Full transparency? Right off. Went to my Yankees losing against the Detroit Tigers. I put the Yankees on all the screens. They were already on one of the screens. They were on my medium screen last night because we were getting beat. My Yankees didn't deserve the big screen and they didn't go on it. But all the screens went to just watching my Yankees. I would rather watch my Yankees lose a baseball game 11-1. That's a true story. 2 nights in a row. Then watch the 10-man tag again. They had the same type of main event last week. Wasn't the main event last week a multi-man schmaz, like 8-man or a 10-man? I'm pretty sure. And they pulled it 472. Again, they'll improve on the rating this week because so many fans are like, I have to see what they do this week because it was so bad last week, the number. So they'll improve on the rating, but it's not matches like this. A 10-man tag because there's $500,000 on the line. Why do we care? We're not getting that money. Most fans could use it to afford a WWE show. And I guess the big thing was Dan Garcia turned heel and joined the Riders, I believe is what I read. Didn't even see it. I saw a photo of Dan Garcia, though, in like a black hoodie and stuff. What were we just talking about? Dan Garcia. Dan Garcia is ending your show. If I'm going to flip out about Sami Zayn ending a SmackDown in 2025... Sami Zayn is one of their big stars. If I'm going to flip out about Jason Uso being one of WWE's biggest stars, the Yeet Master, tag team guy, Jason Uso. If I'm going to flip out about that, you damn right. I am not going to be for Dan Garcia being your main storyline or the one that ends the show last night. That's your big thing. If you're cool with it, if you love it, cool. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about how does AEW become a challenger brand? Because that's what Tony said he is. He said he's a challenger brand. That's a quote. I didn't say it. The boss, Tony Khan of All Elite Wrestling, the boss said that. We are a challenger brand. He said we are competition. That's not how you get to it. And why did you go from 950,000 consistently to 472,000 viewers? And if you add in Max, and this number will be up from last week, so maybe they hit 600,000. But where did hundreds of thousands of viewers go? Your own audience, your tried and true fans. Why did they leave in droves? This isn't no longer about liking Dan Garcia. You can like Jey Uso. You can love Sami Zayn. The problem is these are the big stars of today. And you wonder why numbers are going backwards and fans watching at home are not into this anymore. Larger than life. AEW has a stacked roster. Dan Garcia turned heel. Dan Garcia. Oh boy, next week, I can't wait. Speedball Mike Bailey might be in a street fight. Alex Windsor's going for gold. I'm fully amped up, but you know what? Nah, we gonna turn it up even more. That is your amped up for this Thursday, the 11th of September, 2025. I'm gonna go get more coffee because I got a lot more ass to whoop. I got a lot more biz to take care of. Until next time, and there will be that next time. 44 dive, that's a wrap. BC saying check you. Unit, salud.